Um, Hope you had a good 2 week, and it's the middle of summer, so a lot of people are on vacation. So if you're having a vacation, hopefully you're enjoying it. So I want to give you some update on where we are, and I'll answer all your AMA questions. So let's get going, and let me show you. So a couple of things I want to talk about. The last couple of weeks we have been doing the multi multi uploads, or basically multi file uploads or multi operations, whether you're moving, copying, deleting files, and downloading files. So we have these operations now concurrent, which makes it very fast. If you look at, I was just doing it on Dropbox and comparing it with something on Zeus. This is on Vault and Blimp. You could try it on Vault and Blimp, and it is faster than Dropbox, and I haven't checked Google Drive yet, but this is something that I want the community to test it out. So please go ahead and test out the Blimp or the Vault and see how it compares with Google Drive and Dropbox. I think those are the kind of the benchmarks. I think the uploads and downloads are gonna be faster than what they have. So in terms of performance, we can now say that we are better than current technology. And so our goal of becoming the best storage platform is getting closer and closer. So when we release the mainnet and our storage network operational, we would be the best storage protocol out there. Whether it's whether it's on the blockchain or not, it doesn't matter. We're gonna be the best storage platform, and that was our initial goal. 6 years back in 2017 when we started out, we wanted to be the best storage platform. It wasn't just to build a decentralized network. It wasn't just to build a cryptocurrency, but it is also to serve a purpose to be the next generation storage layer. And obviously, with a decentralized network, the benefits are, you have redundancy, you have higher security, you have higher fault tolerance. So those are obvious benefits that comes with it. But what it was missing was the performance. We wanted the performance to be as good or better than traditional networks, traditional cloud, and that's what we have achieved. So that's a huge milestone, and that's something that I want to commend the team on coming up on implementing this two-phase commit protocol, as well as the ability to do multi-operations. So it's a huge achievement. I cannot, emphasize what sort of achievement this is. This is a game changer. We're very excited about it. I think this is something that truly differentiates us from AWS or Dropbox or Google Drive, right? So that's something I want to emphasize. That's a big achievement. We also have streaming now done for the apps. I think they're not on the web apps. I'm not sure if it's done yet, but it's done on the iOS and Android. And so you should be able to test it out shortly for the web versions. Same thing with the multi-download. I'm not sure if it's completely done on the web yet, but I believe it's done on the iOS. So very excited about that. Now, the other the other thing I wanna talk about is the hackathon. We completed. We were able to get the hackathon up and running for Web3 Berlin, kind of at the last minute. So we don't know what the how many people will have submit their work within this week. It remains to be seen how successful it is because we haven't marketed it, and Web3 Berlin guys weren't able to market it as well because you need some time to let the developers know about the hackathon. But the goal of the hackathon is, for people to use our platform to build apps, to use it for storing data, for transforming their website. So think of how cloud transformed, or think back at the analog to digital transformation. If you look at the technology, there is transformation from one technology to another technology because it produces 10x improvement. So there would be a sea change. There would be a reason to go from one technology to another technology. So analog to digital made sense. Then moving to the cloud. Moving to the cloud makes sense for at the beginning it was more cost associated with cost. And then it became performance because you can do compute in the cloud better than what you can do in your own data center. And you didn't have to have a best data center. To build a very good data center is very expensive, and it is also time consuming. So the time to market, the cost made sense to move to cloud. Now we're basically saying, okay, it is the same cloud, but now it's better. It's better in terms of security, in terms of performance, in terms of privacy. So it's a kind of a 10x change, and when there's a 10x benefit, people will move to that new platform. And with the performance part, I'm really excited that we can now go to customers and say, look, there should be no reason to change to Zeus platform. Speaking of customers, we are, I had some recent calls lately with potential partners that for providers of storage as well as consumers of storage. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'll share more info once we get more in-depth conversation with some of these partners. And it's looking good. I mean, these partners would generally have petabytes of storage requirement. It's just to streamline how we handle the token part and the USD part. So that's something we need to sort out. But there is definitely a huge opportunity out there for us to take advantage of with our platform, because none of the other platforms provide the performance part and some of the other stuff. For instance, switching providers on the fly. None of the decentralized or centralized providers, cloud providers, have this feature. The other is adding redundancy. So if I want to, let's say I design, first of all, designing the cloud. We are the only protocol that lets you design your cloud the way you want. You can pick the providers, you can determine where the providers are and how many providers. So for instance, you can have 10 data shards and 5 parity shards for your allocation, and you can determine where those servers would be located. If you want to add redundancy, let's say I want to add another server because I feel that 5 servers are not enough, or I want to add it because I want a better CDN because it's not globally distributed. Let's say have servers all in Asia, Europe, US, but Australia is left out. So we can add this additional server in Australia and be able to get additional parity server in Australia and be able to get additional redundancy as well as a CDN for that region. So there are, these adding servers on the fly or switching providers on the fly is a huge thing, and that's something cannot be underestimated and that's something we achieved, by the way, recently. So I'm very excited about that feature as well, and that's again a game changer because that's something that's not available on any cloud. And then you add the privacy element, private data sharing. So I believe these three things that we have done, the performance, the adding or switching providers on the fly, and privacy aspects, private data sharing, is something that's unique and that will stand out, and it caters to multiple industries and multiple apps. So you would see that's the reason for this hackathon, by the way. You will see that there would be a sea change of developers reinventing all the apps and making them adopt Zeus technology, because it allows them, these 10x benefit to their customers. So that's the essence of why we should do hackathon. So I know there was a question in the AMA, but I thought I'd answer it now. Okay, let's see. I talked about the concurrent file operations that we have done. I talked about the adding and switching providers on the fly, and I think I talked about the hackathon stuff. So what I want to do next is kind of go through the spreadsheet that I have for our mainnet schedule and see where we are at. Okay, so let's see if I can go to the browser. Oh, well. No, let's try this. Oops. I don't know. No, let me figure this one out. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, that's better. Okay, so where we are, I think what I've done is I have crossed out the ones that we have accomplished. As I said, the streaming, the buy, sell, CCN, that's all done. Streaming, multi-file upload, multi-operations, multi-file download. We're working on live streaming. Again, this is not a requirement for mainnet, but it would be nice to have. I know I said June 14th. This would be actually moved to June 21. Load test, it's going well. You can see some of the load test activity, as you can see here. It's going well, but there are still the phase. We have a good. It has passed all the 4 phases. Phase 5, we have to do some work on it to make it pass, and then we expect we need to do the chaos testing and DDoS testing. So we expect all of that to be sorted out by next week, and we're also gonna start doing Cypress, write Cypress code, test code to do the testing while simultaneously with the load test, the chaos and DDoS. So the expectation is that we are able to do that by next week. Byzantine tests will be completed by this week, so I think all of these will be done by next week. And then what we would like to do is begin active set testing June 22nd onwards. So it's basically next Thursday is something we hope to begin active set testing. Okay, so Cypress load test should be done by next week. That's the at least the Cypress would be a version of Cypress, because we'll be adding more tests as we go along, but it'll be the simplest version of Cypress that will test basically the apps while the load test is running, because we want to make sure that it works regardless, in the worst possible condition. So that's very encouraging that these are coming together very close to it. Some of the other ones in terms of the apps, as I said, these are already released and they're being updated with the new code. When I say updated in terms of these features, the streaming, multi-file upload, multi-operations, multi-file downloads. So all of that will be done this week. And for the mobile, mobile versions are ahead, but I think they're being published on the store. The iOS and Android will come earlier than the Mac and the Windows. So you should expect something next week to be downloadable from the store, from all of these stores. Okay. In terms of chalk, we're very close, but we're still not there. And I just pushed it out a week. I know I was supposed to release it today, but it looks like it's gonna take another week to get the things sorted out. And then yeah, so by next week we hope to you should be able to see them all on the store to be able to test them out. Okay. Same thing with the videos that will come out, starting next week. Okay, so we have videos for Vault first, then Blimp, then Chimney, then Bolt and Chalk. The key element today we have 51 issues. Now you may ask, okay, why did it increase from 48, 50? It seems like we never go down below 50. And I think that is fine in terms of the issues that we will have. We will always have some issues going into mainnet, but the question is, are they critical to mainnet or not? Some of them can be worked on as we release the mainnet. So, and some of the issues are actually are fairly trivial. They can be completed within a week. So the key ones that we are waiting on are challenge and token rewards. We just need to make sure that we validate these two before we go to mainnet. We want to make sure that they work as they should. The other ones, the Bluetooth, this should be done. Zerobox, HA, NFT proxy, repair, bridge, all of these should be done by next week, and they're not as critical for mainnet, but we expect them to be completed by next week. The challenge and token rewards is something we want to complete by next week. It's basically the long pole because we need this done before we move ahead with active set testing. So we expect that hopefully to happen next week. Okay, so that's where we at. Again, I can show you the issues. There are 51 issues, but as I said, for instance, some of them, like for this one, it's mostly like 10 of these issues are essentially token bridge. Some of them are system test. And some of them are zero box. There are a few zero box ones, but the most of the ones are essentially the critical ones are essentially the challenge and the token rewards, and we expect that to happen probably next week sometime. Okay. All right. So now moving on to. Okay, so what I want to show you is also Discord. Let me do that. That's something I wanted to talk about. So we have, as you go through these apps, it's important that you give us feedback on our channels. We have apps. There are 6 channels for each of these apps. Please test them out. They're near production ready. In fact, we will freeze all features this week, and I think there's probably one feature left for each of these apps, but because we're gonna start writing the Cypress test code. But please go through the apps, and if you have any questions, please have them on these chat channels for all the apps. For the SDK and Hackathon, we have separate channels for them as well. So if you're trying out the SDK, we did release the Zeus SDK, which was a big accomplishment, by the way. We released 5 repos. I don't know if you guys are. I think we did tweet it out, and we let the community, we invited the community to participate on the first hackathon. So please go ahead and oh yeah, there we go. So these are the apps, and you can see the apps, sample apps are here. And the GitHub of the repos of them have been released. So please take a look at that and try them out. And if you want to participate in the hackathon, uh, you can you know this documentation says tells you how to do it, and the SDK is here, Zeus SDK. This is a brand new SDK, JavaScript SDK that anybody can use to. They don't need to use Golang because the Zeus JS SDK uses the Golang as a WASM and talks to it and is able to use the WASM for all the transactions and communication with the chain, as well as basically communication with the chain. So, and you can see the apps working on our like the website and the web app. So here in this example, the website is essentially downloading all the assets from the Zeus network, which is pretty cool. Same thing with the web app. It's using the Zeus network to communicate with the Zeus network in terms of the transactions, but also to store data and download data. So it's important that you try this out. This is essentially how we have taken part of the code from Bolt and Vault and put it there so that it's open source and everybody can use it, and they will be able to fork it and be able to use it in their own code. Okay, cool. So wanted to talk about that. I don't know if the SDK chat there's anything. I think we should probably have information similar to this on the SDK chat. So I'm gonna let Tiago do that. Okay, so let's. Okay, so I think we talked about the hackathon, the repos that we released, the SDK that we released. There are 5 repos that are open source. Please take a look, and also try these apps out. And if there is a problem, please talk about it on this channel. Okay, it's very important that you do that. And the other thing is that I want you guys to do is compare our performance to Dropbox or Google Drive, because it would be interesting to get stats on it. It's some of it is dependent on the last mile, so it depends how good your bandwidth is, but some of it is dependent on obviously our performance. Okay, so let's do the AMA questions. So here we go. I think these are the questions that I received. Okay, the first question is, will there be a ambassador program? Don't know if one has already come along. There used to be a program. We will probably come up with another program, probably to incentivize people to find a partner that would store data on our platform. For instance, if you can deliver a call with the customer, then we can grant some tokens. So maybe there will be something like that, and there would be also potentially a program for hackathon. So if you can find your local meetup groups. For instance, our next hackathon will be with New York Tech Alliance, and it's a meetup group in New York, and we are partnering with them for this hackathon. So if you can find meetup groups that can partner with us, we have all the infrastructure and obviously the platform to provide a online hackathon, but we also would like to have somebody local in person to contact the organizer and be able to have an in-person kind of a meetup, just to to have an in-person presence. That would be something that we would like to have, or basically have a kind of a face value with the organizer of the meetup group. So probably these two programs would be something that we can use ambassadors for, that can help promote the technology on the hackathon side for developers, and also to get partners or customers to try out our technology to store data on our network, right? So we can talk about these two ambassador programs, and that's something probably we can I can think about it, and then let you guys know how we will engage on it. Okay, second question. Can you elaborate on what we hope to achieve via the Berlin Hackathon? So I think I talked about it. Hackathons are important. We want to have a hackathon almost every week. Right now, we're kind of fine-tuning how we message, how we market the hackathons with our partners. So that's something that we're doing now, especially with the New York hackathon. With the Berlin, we didn't have a chance, but we got the platform out and the sample apps and the SDK out. So we're pretty proud of that, because we achieved it in record time in getting ready for the Berlin hackathon. So we want to have hackathon almost weekly, if not more. So once we get going, we want to have that. So that's why we also need ambassadors that can help us out for each region or each city that we want to have these hackathon with. And if you can find additional hackathon partners, we will incentivize you on that, or we will give you some rewards. In terms of what we achieve, well, we want adoption, and we want adoption from people who want to transform their current app or current website into something that uses Zeus Cloud, because everybody stores data. The website, you're pulling the website data from somewhere. Where's that data stored? It's usually stored on S3, and people use CloudFront. So we want to change that architecture to something like you can have a compute anywhere, you can have a server spun up anywhere, you can host anywhere, but you're pulling the data from Zeus. So that's the new architecture that we want to provide, because it's faster, it's better, and it's decentralized. You have 100% uptime. You have pretty much guaranteed 100% uptime. It's not going to be, it's not going to be fully 100%. It'll be 99.99. You have these 5 nines, 6 nines, or 11 nines, depending on how you design your cloud. The other aspect of the hackathon is to build apps that use privacy, so as a primary feature. Most of our apps today are not geared toward customer privacy. That's because there is no solution for it. Now we are able to provide that solution, and therefore you can claim to be better than Apple in terms of security. So if you want, as a developer, if I want to build an app that is better than Apple in terms of security, I can do that now, right? If I want my website to be a high performance website with, let's say, streaming videos, high quality graphics, high definition images, I can do that now, because I've got a faster way to download it, and I don't have to pay as much, because I can distribute the data globally. So I have an effectively a better CDN than I can achieve with CloudFront that most people use, or Cloudflare, and why not, right? It's a better performing website. Okay, so question 3: can we get an overview of the type of apps that can be built on Zeus through the hackathon. Okay, I kind of explained that, but some of the apps are pretty self-explanatory, like healthcare apps. The customer, the patient should have control of their data and the privacy of their data. Um, any type of apps like photo sharing app. If you look at all the studio, they take pictures of you. Where do they store the data? How do you know they're not sharing it with somebody else? So the customer should control all their data. So in any of the social media apps, they should be able to have the customer control the data of their app. So if you look at any app, I would say any customer-oriented apps should be the first ones that will adopt a privacy-centric technology like Zeus, where the customer controls the data. Okay. Now, the other benefit, obviously, is that you can you can achieve faster upload and download speed. So even if you don't want privacy, the performance itself should be a selling point for the apps to use Zeus. Right. So, and then of course, other than apps, you have backup storage, you have apps that use intelligence on the storage layer. If you have a faster storage layer, then you can have faster business intelligence. So all the analytics apps can use Zeus for storing data and mining the data. Okay, so next question: Are we going to are there going to be app releases for Chimney, Chalk, and Blimp on iOS and Android? No, we don't plan to do them because they're mostly enterprise oriented. And the other fact of the matter is that we are making them mobile responsive. So you could use all of these apps on mobile since they're mobile responsive. So there is no reason to do an iOS and Android. And the only reason we did it for Bolt and Vault is because, well, for Bolt for two reasons. One, we wanted to have the split key feature. You need two devices for that, so you need the mobile platform for that. For Vault, it's really for convenience. For Vault, when you take pictures with your mobile, you want to send it easily to the cloud or to Zeus network, and it can be done. It cannot be done if it's a web only version. So, and that's the reason to do for Vault. For Chalk, Chimney, and Blimp, and Atlas, we don't see a need to do a iOS or Android app or a desktop app in the near term. Maybe in the future, but we have a long way to go because we have a lot of other features we want to add to these apps, and that's something will probably take more priority than having an iOS or Android or mobile or desktop releases. Our question 5: Any progress on some high quality influencers like Coin Bureau would be a great way to get our names out there after mainnet. We're working on it, but that's not our highest priority right now. Our priority is to get first of all the mainnet, second customers and our partners, which is something that we are focusing on now a lot more, because once basically we want to get customers for storage consumers, storage providers, artists for Chalk, and developers for our SDK. So these are the 4 targets we have, and I believe once people start, once we get these customers, they would be a much bigger influencer than some of the influencers like Coinburrow. I mean, they will probably do it for free. It's sort of like if we become as viral as ChatGPT or as you know, as as a focal point of any development. Like for instance, Chat GPT has now become like the focal point for discussion, for development. If we can become that, if we can achieve that, then I think all influencers will start talking about it. Because if they don't, then they're not talking about something interesting or something advanced, some new technology. So we'll see how it plays out in the market, because I don't want to pay influencers right now for something that is not customer backed. So what I want to have is enough customer backing, and then we'll see if influencers talk about it or not. And my bet is that once customer starts adopting it, there will be influencers talking about it because they need to. And same thing with the media. I would say media will start talking about it as well. Okay, question 6. After mainnet, will you be working with some of those long-term partners like Ocean Protocol? Any future integrations or partnerships? Absolutely. I mean, we want to work with other partners, and there will be more partners. Obviously, that's what we're looking for. We are looking for partners. There has to be some meaningful partners. I mean, they need to have they need to put petabytes of storage. It should be petabytes of storage opportunity. So one of the things I want to talk about is that the ambassador program, we want to find partners that have petabytes of storage opportunity. And if you can get us through the door, whether it's something that somebody working in a company or working with a partner that has petabytes of storage problem, then that's something we can reward. And those are the ones we want to work with, because our protocol is all about storage. We want to make sure that our protocol is used for storage, and that basically would influence other people to use our network. So the more storage we get, the more the benefit. Okay, question 7. I understand that the concern has been raised multiple times, and appreciate it to explore implications of the current liquidity observed. That a small buy order of 100K has the power to drive the price up to 50%. Given the magnitude of the project, how do you think investors like myself, who are interested in purchasing amounts surpassing 6 figures, can actively participate and invest in the project? Um, you know, to answer your question, this is, you could buy small on a daily basis. If you look at most of the traders in any market, if they want to buy big, they start buying small. Our liquidity is low right now, but that's because there aren't that many people aware of our token, number one, or people who are aware are not aware of where we are in the development cycle. So I think once we have mainnet and we have customers on board and using the platform, the liquidity problem will solve itself. Okay, last question. Are we worried about Zeus being a security and the SEC? I have a an argument where ZCN is not a security at all. If you look at if you consider the Howey test, which is basically the test that everybody uses because that's the only test that there is in terms of being a security. We basically pass all the tests. In Howey, you have to prove 3 things, and if one of them you cannot prove, then it's not a security. And it's very hard not to say ZCN is not a utility token. So the argument about it is very strong from our end, because there's no way you can operate the storage without ZCN. And it's not an investment because it's something that you can use and something you can benefit regardless of what the price of the token is. because you could operate in USD between buyers and sellers and use the token. So it's not, you can argue that it's not an investment contract at all. So there is basically there's no basis for us to be considered a security. And I can get more into it. I mean, that this is probably going to be an hour-long discussion just about that, in terms of the arguments that you could provide for why we are not a security. Okay, good. So, good questions. Let me quickly see if there are any other questions on the channel. Okay, looks like there are no questions, and okay, great. So again, from my perspective, I can smell the mainnet. Now, whether it comes, 2 weeks from now, by end of the month or not, I don't know yet, and I don't have total control over. But we're getting there. We obviously need to pass load test with Chaos and DDoS, and then with Cypress, and then make sure that the same thing is valid on active set once we turn it on. And after that, it's basically we determine when we go to mainnet. By that time we have passed all the gates. So right now, the two most important things that we're focusing on is the token, the reward aspect of the token, for blobbers, and the challenge protocol. So those are the two things that are left to be kind of ironed out, and we're getting there. So we're very close, and I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's just a matter of time now to get the mainnet out, and I see very positive communication with potential customers, partners. So I'm very excited. Very excited where we are at right now. The apps are looking phenomenal. I think if there are any errors, please have them on a hackathon channel, but the errors are diminishing to almost zero now. And now it's more like a feature request or a improvement in the UI UX, which is good. That means everything else is working. And so we're very close to releasing our products and mainnet, and it's not easy. If you look at what we have achieved with a hackathon, we essentially created a product with the Zeus SDK and released it within record time to get to Web3 Berlin. And now we're releasing 6 additional products in addition to mainnet. So essentially you can say a total of 8 products out there we're releasing. It's not something that you can say the others have been able to do it in this record time. I know we have taken 6 years to do it, but it is really a huge achievement. So I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of our team making it happen, and we have a top-notch team, and we're bringing in only the best talent that we can find out there. So I'm very, very, very optimistic about the future. All right, I think I'll end it here, and happy rest of the June, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. All right, thank you. Take care. Bye bye.